Okay, we are ready for our first game.
White starts with e4.
This is one of the most standard opening moves, occupying the center and opening up the diagonal of the bishop.
And black responds with e5.
Black is being a copycat, doing the same thing, occupying the center and opening up the road of the bishop.
And now white brings the queen out immediately to h5.
That's the first mistake of several. It's better to get the knight out first, the bishop out, and put the king into safety before we get the queen out. The only good thing about getting the queen out early is to attack the pawn in the center.
And black responds with knight to c6.
Black noticed the threat, protected the pawn, and therefore the queen is silly out there.
And white plays bishop to c4.
Well, this is the basic moves of the so-called scholar's mate. And now, if black is careless, doesn't notice what white wants to do, which is to checkmate with the queen, then black will be sorry. One common mistake that black does here comes here with the knight to attack the queen, thinking that the queen needs to move away. Yes, the queen will move away, giving checkmate. Still, nothing changed. So that's certainly not the right move.
And black defends the checkmate threat with g6.
Now, black would have several ways to defend the checkmate threat, but the best is what black played in the game, blocking the threat with g6. Protecting the f7 square with the queen is possible, but less good because it also gets out the queen prematurely and stands in a way the other minor pieces way, here in the bishop's way, and here takes away the square from the knight. So the best answer is g6, not only protecting against the checkmate, but also counter-attacking right away the queen.
And white retreats the queen to f3.
White doesn't give up, wants to give checkmate again, this time from the f-file.
And black plays knight to f6.
Again, the best way to defend against it. If black was not careful, again, checkmate would come. So this is a good way to protect against it. Of course, the black queen is protecting the knight.
And now white moves the queen for the third time to b3.
Well, this is getting too much already. So many queen moves. That's already a serious problem. White is persistent in attacking the pawn on f7. Wants to take it with the bishop, but neglects developing the pieces. Again, instead of the queen move, white should get the knight out, getting ready to castle, or maybe play c3, preventing the knight from coming to d4.
And now black plays knight to d4.
Well, this is an interesting moment. Black could simply protect the pawn by moving the queen out to e7 and have a normal game. However, because white already broke so many rules by getting the queen out early, by moving the same piece more than once, black can punish white. And even though it's by moving a same piece a second time, but it's only after white broke the rules.
White plays queen to d3.
Queen d3 moves away from the attack of the knight and protects the pawn on e4. However, you may ask, who stopped white from capturing the pawn on f7? Let's see what happens now. The black king gets out to e7. And now the problem is that the queen cannot hold on to protecting the bishop. If the queen moves away, the bishop will be lost. And if the queen holds on to the bishop for now, then think for a moment. What would you do? And the correct answer is moving the pawn up, chasing the queen away. And then, after the queen even gives a check, we get the bishop. So here black lost the right to castle, that's true, but gained the bishop, which is a serious advantage and well worth it, giving up the right to castle in this case. Let's go back to our position after the queen moved to d3.
Black plays d5.
Well, this is a very energetic move, and we'll see in a moment why it's good. Black could have continued the game by developing bishop to g7, let's say, and to castle and so on, but this is a lot better.
White plays E, takes D5.
White took the pawn. Let's see what would happen if white plays differently and takes the pawn with the bishop. Similar, but first they trade the knight for the bishop, and then black does the same thing as in the game, getting the bishop out, making a skewer, chasing the queen away, and once the queen moves, then the knight can take the pawn, checking the king, and attacking the rook, winning material. The best that white could have done instead of taking the pawn on d5 was to move the bishop away to b3, which is a sad story, I have to agree, because white loses the pawn on e4 next, but it's yet better than to lose a piece or a rook. Let's continue after pawn takes pawn.
Black plays bishop to f5.
And this was the whole idea of black's play in the last couple of moves. Now the queen is under attack.
Queen to g3.
The queen moves away. That's still better than moving it, let's say, to e3, because white would be under a family fork, check, queen attack, and rook attack all at once. Queen g3.
Knight takes c2 check.
And knight takes pawn, checking the king and attacking the rook. That's a fork.
White played king to f1.
Now, besides all the material losses that white has to face, also lost the right to castle.
And black developed the bishop to d6.
That's a very fine move. Black has the time to protect the pawn. Could have taken the rook right away, but would have lost this pawn. And there is no need to give up on it, because the white rook is trapped anyway. It doesn't run away. And white resigned in this position. It's a lost position. White is losing the rook. What did we learn from this game? Like many people like to win quickly. It's nice, but usually it doesn't work. What did white do in this game? Got the queen out early and tried to checkmate very quickly with a scholar's mate. As we saw, if black knows just a little bit how to defend against it, white will get in serious trouble. So I definitely do not recommend try to win with the scholar's mate. Learn from this game, from the aspect how not to fall into it. What was white's problem? White made 5 moves with the queen. It's far too many instead of developing the pieces and putting the king into safety. So just follow the opening principles. Don't get the queen out early. That's the moral of this game.